Hello, today I will talk about qualitative content analysis. A simple definition of qualitative content analysis is a method of analyzing written, verbal, and visual communication messages while systematically describing, clustering, categorizing, and quantifying the data. In other words, this is a type of analysis that helps you to analyze non numerical data by transforming it into a form where we can also apply descriptive statistics to analyze the data. Uh, Anyhow, it is also interesting that while quantitative researchers do not find content analysis suitable for sufficient statistical analysis, at the same time, qualitative researchers also do not find it sufficiently qualitative to understand the phenomena. However, qualitative content analysis is widely used to analyze secondary data such as archival records, reports, literatures, newspaper articles, diaries, essays, letters, and other similar data. Generally, there are two approaches used in content analysis. First is deductive content analysis that has a structure operationalized on the basis of previous knowledge. It is a top down approach where predetermined concepts and themes are applied to the data. Second approach is inductive content analysis, that is a bottom up or ground up approach, and it provides the concepts and categories that can describe and interpret phenomena under study. In this presentation, I will discuss the procedure for inductive approach to content analysis. Qualitative content analysis is more than counting words, and it examines the text intensely to classify a large amount of data into meaningful categories. In qualitative content analysis, we have some important aspects of data analysis that not only distinguish it from classical quantitative content analysis but also add value to content analysis. For example, in qualitative content analysis, we have cores that emerge directly from the data. Hence, we do not compromise the data centered aspect of the analysis. Second, in qualitative content analysis, the context of the text is very important as it helps to understand and interpret the meaning of the data. Third, the researchers trying to go below the surface level meanings search for a latent sense of the data in qualitative content analysis. And last but not the least, the construction of meaning as researcher explores during qualitative content analysis are grounded in the data. They are not forced to be fit in the predetermined or existing conceptual categories. Even though we do consider the existing conceptual categories, but not to test or our construction of meaning, but to interpret and make sense of the meanings that we have come across during qualitative content analysis. The documents or the secondary data that we use for qualitative content analysis must be identified and selected, followed by a clearly mentioned inclusion criteria. And it should definitely meet your objectives and research questions. Documents to be used in content analysis may be public records such as policy documents, reports, manuals. They may be personal records such as diaries, blogs, messages, media posts, letters, memos, or you may use documents that report physical evidence of something such as books, articles, flyers, and brochures. While doing qualitative analysis, researcher codes the data and these codes are clustered into themes. Later, these codes and themes may be used to gain a quantitative insight in the form of frequencies and patterns. Moreover, the qualitative reflections are used to interpret the findings or making inferences. In this way, a qualitative content analysis adds value to the systematic analysis of the documents. And as you see here in this illustration, the search question that should direct you while doing data analysis or while interpreting and explaining the findings. Now, before giving you an illustration of the process of analysis, I will provide you some useful information that will help you to understand the meaning of the data. As we are interested in manifested and latent meanings of the data, it is very important to stay close to the data while coding. It is your task to examine what has been said, and that will provide you surface level meanings, that is, manifested meanings. And then you try to explore the intended sense of the data, and that will provide you underlying meanings or latent meanings. For this, you will have to go back to the original data at different stages of the analysis. Hence, throughout the process, you should examine carefully and deeply that what is said and what is intended in the data, and how does it make sense in connection with each other. In this way, you will be able to understand and connect the surface structure and the deep structure of the data. For example, if you are doing content analysis of a speech, such as the speech of the Prime Minister Imran Khan, and in the text you find a statement that says, "I am not afraid of opposition parties." Now, apparently, you can understand the surface structure as it appears in this statement. Like you can say Imran Khan is not afraid of opposition, or you can say that opposition is weak than the ruling party, or you can make similar inferences. Well, this is fine so far the surface level meanings are concerned, but qualitative content analysis will require you to go deeper, such as you may think why he is not afraid of opposition parties, why he has to give this statement in his speech, what are possible support, power, or resources he may have that moved him to say this brave statement. Well, these questions and other similar questions, you will have to find the answers, and you will need to dig deep into the content you have. So you will read the speech and find out the content where Imran Khan has said something about his powers, resources, sports that can be connected with this statement. More, you can also examine that how he addressed the opposition parties in his whole speech and how he sees or situate opposition parties here. I may not get into details here, but I hope you have an idea that how you will use your reflections while doing surface level analysis to find the deeper meanings. Now, before we learn how to do qualitative content analysis, let us see pre-coding considerations that are required. First, remember that your beliefs and biases related to the study can influence data analysis. You need to know those biases and bracket them before analysis. Second, whichever epistemological approach you are using will influence the analysis. Hence, be clear and make it pretty evident in your methodological framework so that the reader may understand your analysis without confusion and in the true context of your analytical approach. And the third, document your thoughts that will guide your interest in this study, what you are doing. You should know why you are doing this study and how did you reach the research question you are investigating. Okay, and now let's understand these process of analysis related terms. First is codes. Codes are the identifying anchors that allows the key point of the data to be gathered. Coding is done after getting familiar with the data through reading and rereading and underlining segments of the data to be coded. Then clustering. Clustering is the next step after coding. Clusters are collection of codes of similar content that allows the data to be grouped for shared meanings they present. Next step is categorizing. Categories are broad groups of similar concepts or clusters that are used to generate a theoretical description. And then finally, you have theoretical explanation or abstract of your finding that will explain the research questions in connection with description and interpretation of the emerged categories. Okay, now I think you can get an idea how to do qualitative content analysis. On this slide, I try to illustrate the steps to proceed further analysis. So you see, your research question must guide you throughout the process to be on track of your objectives of the study. Reading and rereading, it will make you familiar with the data and you will be able to underline data units that are meaningful for you according to your research questions. Then you code the underlined segments. It is always good to code and revise codes for one piece of the text to get more refined codes. What you want to code depends on your search questions, your objectives, your philosophical priorities, but you may be interested in nouns, places, emotions, expressions, magnitudes, characters, values, attitudes. So you see there is a variety of categories of codes that you can use. After coding, place codes with similar meanings or that give a shared meaning into clusters. Then label the clusters with appropriate names that will help you to understand what this cluster includes. These clusters will be grouped into broader conceptual categories and afterwards have a reverse check and see if categories really represent corresponding clusters and the clusters represent the corresponding codes. Make any amendment that you think is the best. Finally, you will write a theoretical explanation while describing the categories and any interconnections they have. And then you will offer an interpretation of the meaning making that you did following all the process. Okay, in this short presentation, it is not possible for me to give you a detailed example of qualitative content analysis. I will come up with some detailed example in another video. However, you can just search for example articles on Google and you can see very different ways to do this. Reading articles is always required before practicing. Thank you for watching. Stay in touch by subscribing my YouTube channel. Be qualitative.